Alright guys, I know you've been waiting for this video, so let me try and make it as simple as possible. Everything that I talk about will be linked in the description, which is how to set up everything for 60 FPS in games, like what you've seen. You'll need two programs primarily to do it, that is EOS and FPS Locker. So what we're going to do, this will be the first thing that's linked, and it has a step-by-step instructions of how to do everything, okay? Of course, you got to be on the latest version of Atmosphere and Hecate. It'd be good to be on firmware of 19.0.1, the latest. Before you do any sort of overclocking, make sure you back up your sysnand or back up your emunand, which one ever you use. And the installation in here, it has download links for every single one separately, but I've gone ahead and done something, and that is I've combined it all together, put together the Hecate bootloader, which is required to load a kip file. The kip file goes in Atmosphere, and that is what applies your overclock on boot up. So I will upload this in the description as well. So all you'll have to do is download this zip and extract it all to the root of your SD card. Okay? Then do a reboot. When you reboot the Switch, hold your volume down so you can boot into the Hecate launcher. This. Alright? And then what you need to do is hit Tools, Arc Bit. Usually it defaults to this side, but I've already clicked ahead. Click to Arc Bit, click on Fix Archive, or Archive, sorry. So when you've done that, it can take a while depending on how much stuff you got on your memory card or how big it is. Let that complete. Once it's completed, boot into your custom firmware. And you guys, you'll be able to go through all of the step-by-step instructions. Just go through it, have a read of it, get the general idea of how to navigate through menus, open up overlays. If you've already got an overlay applied, then it's going to be a lot easier. All you'll need to set up is EOS. For example, hit the left button down and the stick. Everyone should know this. If you don't, just put in the comments. So when you've copied over the zip onto your SD card, you reboot, you fix the archive, boot back in, you'll have UltraNAND, and it should look like this. So what you're going to do is click the right arrow or the stick, doesn't matter, and you should see OC Switchcraft EOS. If you don't, put it down in the comments that spot is empty and we can look into it. You should have version 1.5.1. I'm still using the older version because I have no point to. There is no point in using the newest one for me. So once you've done this, click A to open it, and it will be all blank. These are my current settings. So what you'll need to do is when it's all blank, hit the right arrow again, and you will see system settings. Click on that. Actually, don't click on that. Click on the info tab first. The info tab is the important one. What you'll see is the CPU will have a number next to it. The GPU will also have a number next to it. These are your Speedos. The higher the number, the more stability you can get, the less voltage you can run through the chip as well. Because higher Speedos means it's a higher bin, which means it's a higher quality. Not all switches are equal, and depending on if you've got an Arista chip or Mariko, which is a V2 or an OLED switch, the binning can be completely different. You can get ones that are really low and will not like to be undervolted, and that will limit how much overclock you can use. Also, the RAM type, you can see I'm using WTF, it's Micron RAM. We can navigate back out of this. Let me just check. If you're in the first sub-menu, you press plus and you can bring up more information. I'm pretty sure, where is it? System, yeah, system. That brings up your Speedos to 1680 CPU, 1686 GPU, and the SoC is 1692. And it will also have what type of memory you have, what vendor it is, Micron, WTF. Now, not all memory is equal. So, because of this, there's also guides. There's an Arista OC guide, which I will leave in the description as well. And it will tell you what the limits are, when you reach max limits, what kind of Speedos are reached, and when. It tells you about GPU scheduling. If you go through and read this, you will know everything there is to overclock the switch. These are the three types of memory that are on the Arista, which is the V1 switch. The V1 switch cannot overclock very well, and it is limited to 460 megahertz on the battery in handheld, while the OLED and the V2s can push 998 megahertz on battery. It's more than double. So if you guys want to overclock switches, get yourself a chipped V2 or an OLED. You will not regret it. Okay? All these will be in the description. And then we have our V2 and OLED guide. As you can see, 5 amp limit reached. That's the maximum that the switch PCB can supply to the chip, is 5 amp. So when you've got a good binning, you can run less voltage, higher clocks, and not hit that 5 amp limit. Okay, so you got 2397 megahertz on the CPU reached with a setting of undervolt 1 or 2295 with a 1650 Speedo. Of course, use higher levels to avoid the limit, right? Same as GPU limit, 10 amp limit hit at 12 to 8 with an undervolt of 1. Okay, so the higher the Speedo number, the higher you can do in undervolt. And you might be thinking, what the hell is undervolt and where do I change it? Well, I'll show you that. But go through this as a guide first, just so you get an idea of what you can do and what you can't do. And then you got your memory types. You got D, C, B, A, and S in God tier. So when you bring up the UltraHand info, it'll have your numbers of what you got. There's mine. It's an ATM memory. So you got WTF. So scrolling down, CPU boost clock. For me, I push my OLED to 2091 or 2092 on the CPU, and that is because Nvidia's highest spec binning that they've shipped out, they rate the chip, the Tegra, what is it? The Tegra Plus version, X1 Plus. It had a maximum ship rate of 2092, and the GPU speed was 1267. So that's the highest that I run mine, even though I can push it higher. There is no benefit of running more than 2092 on the CPU. I haven't seen any gains in performance, maybe, I don't know, 1%, and it depends on what type of game it is. But you just killing your Switch early for no reason, overclocking what the maximum is. So if you have a Speedo of 1650 and you use undervolt 6 and above, you can run the maximum speed of 2600, which it's just not beneficial to do it. But you can, however, run an undervolt setting of +6 and run a lower speed, so you get a reasonable uplift in performance and less voltage, because the higher the speed, the more it will draw automatically, because the Switch has voltage scaling set within it. Of course, the higher the clock, the higher it will draw. But if you run an undervolt setting, a high frequency undervolt setting, reasonably high, or as high as you can run it at 2092 and just have a Switch that is super overclocked and lasts a lot longer. Because if you don't undervolt it, well, you're going to drain the battery, you're going to make it hot, you're going to wear it out. So overclocking is just all based on what your speedos are. If you've got high speedos, I can even give you like a recommendation of what to set. Now here we go with memory. There's your memory types, right? And that's what they're guided to overclock to. And this is the voltages that you need to set within EOS. Those voltages are the memory chips manufacturing maximum levels. This is not what it runs in the Switch, it runs undervolted, but this is the maximum voltage set by the chip manufacturer. So it is not overvolting, and it will not hurt the memory. So if you can get these chips and set them at these types of speeds, it is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? My WTF is rated for 2400 to 2533 at its stock voltage. The highest that I can get it is 2500, but I've also edited my memory timing. You got tighter timings and common timings. Okay? Not all of them can do it. Some of them can, some of them can't. But I've actually got a custom tighter timing than this. If you guys happen to have WTF and good bins, then I'll even show you what kind of timing I use. I might even show you right now. But this is just the basic of maximum. Like, for example, Arista's maximum. Let's see. Arista max safe clocks on battery. 1785 on the CPU, 416 on the GPU, and 1862 to 2033 on RAM. Okay. Normally the Switch in handheld will run at 1300 megahertz in handheld mode and 1600 megahertz in docked mode. So these RAM settings are pushing way beyond that. So check out the maximum on the OLED and V2 models on battery. 1963 and 998. The 998 in battery is unbelievably it's unbelievably good. It's the same sort of clock speed on the battery that you can get maximum out of the Arista while it's docked. And the memory can go up to 2500 plus, depending on whatever is stable on the 1175 millivolts. If you start pushing higher on battery, you can, but it's not recommended. And it's not recommended to overvolt the memory chip anyway, because it will degrade it. Memory chips will degrade when they are overvolted. So all these guides and information will be in the description, okay? So get back to the Switch and I'll just show you guys a little bit. It's blurry. See if I can bring it up. Give me a sec. Take it off charge. Okay. So, bring up Ultra Hand, right arrow across, open up your Switchcraft, and you'll have timings, okay? Based on your bins, which you guys are going to let me know what your bins are, and I'll help you with setting all of this up, okay? And if it's similar bins to this, then you can use a high frequency. See, this goes up to a maximum of 12. If I go to 11, the switch will hard lock on boot. So the max that I can push with my bin is high frequency undervolt level 10, which is really good. Undervolt mode doesn't really matter unless you are someone that doesn't want the high overclock and you want to try and reduce the CPU speed, be lower than stock to conserve battery. This is where this takes hold, but everything else, I think it's around over 1500 on the CPU. It will only use a higher frequency undervolt table. Okay, table config, always leave it on auto. Based on binning, that's low frequency bin and high frequency bin. 720 is almost the lowest. I think, where is the default? I can't remember what the default setting was. Well, the default is 850, right? And I've got that down to 720. And then we have voltage limits and boost clocks. That's the maximum Nvidia speed, right? So I could go higher, but I choose not to. This boost clock only applies when it loads games. So this dramatically saves loading times. You could boost it up in boost because it will drop down once the game's loaded. So it only works when games are loading, or you're in a game and you start the next level and it loads the level, well then the boost clock will apply. Okay. GPU. You have 1, 2, and custom. I always use the high undervolt table. Why? Because push and high. Maximum is always just leave it on 800. You do not want to go over 800. And Vmin is based on binning. So again, let me know what your Speedos are speedo numbers, and we'll sort it out. I'll help you overclock it. So to do timings, you just click on it and you can slide it across, but it's rather complicated. So EOS has presets. Samsung, Micron, Hynix. Okay, so you got Samsung, you click on it, and then you put down your numbers. What are my numbers? You might say. You look at your information, right? Micron, there's numbers. That's my custom setup. See? Hynix. So that's that. DRAM. Always use the HP. It stands for high performance. Max clock. That's my max clock. I just got to keep tapping the screen because my phone wants to go to sleep. This is the EMC DVB table. I have it minus. It defaults to 0. I have it undervolted, which is your SoC. Depending on the SoC bin, you might be able to undervolt it. You might not be able to. As you can see, the lowest is 3 and the highest. This helps with overclocking memory speed. If you turn this up, potentially you can push this higher, but I do not want to overvolt it. And that's about it. You have tools if you go across. This is info. So like I said, guys, when you open this, press plus and click on system, and it will bring up your Speedo. That's what I want to know. You guys give me that, and I'll be able to help you overclock. Memory type and Speedo. Okay? But just copy the zip file, extract it, do your little Hekate archive fix, boot up. Hopefully everything boots up. If it doesn't boot up, let me know. We'll get it sorted. Hopefully it boots up. You open up the menu and you'll be able to navigate across and you'll have your EOS. Once you have EOS, give me your Speedo numbers and we'll play around with the overclock. Okay. And that's it. When it comes to running games, a part of the zip that I gave you guys is FPS Locker. That one. Okay. Let's load a game.
Achieved with CryEngine.
So, with this, FPS Locker, disable, advance, delete patch file. Okay, watch this. Save settings. I just deleted the patch file, so this game will not run at anything more than what it was locked for.
Achieved with CryEngine.
So go back to FPS Locker, and there we go. Frame rate is 30. Increase it to 60. See the target? Save. What do you notice? It's not increasing beyond 30. So with FPS Locker, It's made by an absolute genius. You can go to, as long as you're connected to the internet, you can go to advanced settings. And down here, you'll have search for patch if there's not a patch already downloaded. I've already downloaded it, so it's there. It says patch file does not exist. Use convert. Convert. Patch file created. Restart the game. This patch allows the game to run at an unlocked frame rate. And even some of the patches that he adds in, the modder, allows you to not only unlock the frame rate, but he also adds in resolution scaling. So when it detects the frame rate drop, it'll drop the resolution in accordance to keeping the frame rate up. So that's applied. Again, FPS Locker is a part of this zip file that I uploaded for you guys. Give me a second. It just doesn't want to focus, does it? Piece of shit.
With CryEngine.
Check again. $60. Running battery, no plug. With speeds of, you even got status monitor, that's going to be in there as well for you guys. You can bring up FPS and a graph. Check it out. Zoom, you piece of shit. Here we go. The FPS crisis on the Switch. How sick is that? You also got stats, speed, temps, fan speed, FPS up there in the right corner. How do you overclock? Once you've set up EOS, well, no, actually, never mind. That'll be a separate video. Once you guys get Ultra Hand working and you can see EOS, upload your Speedos, memory type, and we'll start on setting up EOS. Once EOS is set up, we will overclock. You can edit per game, or you can edit the overclocking on the charger, USB charging, and handheld and dock. I do a global. I always just do a global setting. Maximum in the dock and handheld. I don't do it in charging because I only wanted to do it its max speed on the official charger, because the official charger is the only one that can power it. So don't use some other piece of shit charger and think you can get 1267, because it won't work. You just burn out the switch. So get EOS together, go through those guides, and we'll fix it up. Check this out. I put this together today. This is a port of Unreal Gold. How sick is that? Having an overclocked modified switch has a lot of benefits. Perfect dark. Let me show you something else. Half-life. Where is the GZ Doom? The Android ports, sorry, of Sonic. If you're a Sonic fan at all. Trying to find GZ Doom. There we go. Check this out. Voxels, how about that, eh? If you guys want this version, this is the version that I've put together. See the voxels? But yeah, let me know how you go with getting Ultra Hand functioning and EOS. Once you do, put it in, tag me in the chat, and we'll set your overclock up based on your Speedo. Try and get the best stability, and once you guys do it a little bit, you'll just learn how to, work out what's max and what's not. But once you reach that point of crashing, you take it one step back and you should have stable clock. I never have any problems with this overclock or 2500 on the memory. So let's get it done. Peace.